She gave up everything to make him a man. He gave her nothing but shame. But life has a way of teaching lessons that even pride can't escape. In a quiet African village, life moved slowly, but for one old woman, every day was a race against hardship. Her clothes hung loosely on her frail frame, faded from countless washes and endless days under the burning sun. Each morning, she left her small, crumbling hut with a determined heart. Some days she sat silently by the roadside, her tired hands stretched out, hoping for a few coins. Other days, she wandered through dusty streets, collecting empty plastic bottles in a worn sack to sell for pennies. When fortune allowed, she cleaned houses, scrubbing floors, washing laundry, and sweeping courtyards, all for a small handful of money or a little food. Her hands, rough and calloused, bore witness to a lifetime of hard labor. Her feet, cracked from endless walking, carried her wherever survival demanded. Yet through all her struggles, she never once thought of giving up. She wasn't working for herself. She labored for her son, the light of her life, the reason she endured each painful step. No matter how little she earned, she always brought food home. She made sure her boy ate first, serving him the best portion with a smile that hid her exhaustion. Her heart found peace in his happiness. Neighbors admired her strength, but few knew the full depth of her sacrifices. To her, every ache, every scar, every sleepless night was worth it. She dreamed of a better future for her son, even if she herself never lived to see it. As evening fell and her boy slept peacefully by her side, she whispered silent prayers of gratitude. For another day survived, for another meal earned, and for the love that gave her strength to face tomorrow. Years passed, and the mother's sacrifices finally bore fruit. Her son, once a skinny little boy sitting in the dusty village lanes, grew into a bright young man. Through endless hard work and his mother's unwavering support, he excelled in his studies and earned a scholarship to a prestigious college in the city. With a heavy heart, the mother packed his few belongings, wrapped them carefully, and sent him off with tearful prayers. She believed that a brighter future awaited him, one filled with respect, success, and happiness. In the bustling city, life was different. Tall buildings, fast cars, and endless lights surrounded him. He quickly made new friends, boys from wealthy families who wore fancy clothes, spoke fluent English, and lived lives he had only seen in dreams. Eager to fit in, he changed. He learned their ways, their style, their attitude. Slowly, the memories of the small village, the broken hut, and the frail woman who once cleaned houses for his meals, began to fade. He was now a city boy, living in a shared apartment with his friends, chasing dreams far removed from the dusty paths of his childhood. Years flew by, and the boy who once walked barefoot in the dusty village streets transformed into a powerful businessman. With sharp ambition and relentless focus, he built a massive company that spread across the city. He wore expensive suits, drove luxury cars, and dined at the finest restaurants. Success changed him deeply. His heart, once tender with dreams and gratitude, grew cold. Wealth made him arrogant. He now measured people by their clothes, their accents, and their wallets. The sight of poor street vendors and beggars irritated him. In his eyes, they were failures, reminders of a past he was desperate to erase. He no longer mentioned his humble beginnings, and if anyone asked about his family, he simply said he came from a simple background without giving details. In meetings and parties, he looked down on anyone who didn't match his status. To him, respect was something bought with money, not earned with kindness. The boy who once clutched his mother's worn hands for comfort now refused to even glance at those who resembled his old life. He had everything he once dreamed of: success, fame, and fortune. But somewhere along the way, he had lost something far more valuable. One evening, while celebrating a major business deal, he hosted a lavish party at one of the city's finest hotels. Music echoed through the grand hall, and laughter filled the air as he sat surrounded by wealthy friends, raising glasses in victory. Outside, standing at the hotel's entrance, was a frail old woman with tired eyes and trembling hands. Her heart pounded with excitement and nerves. After years of waiting, she had finally found her son. With slow steps and a hopeful smile, she entered the glittering lobby, her worn clothes sharply contrasting the luxury around her. When she spotted him, her heart swelled with pride. "My son," she called out softly. But he froze. His friends turned to look, curious. Embarrassed, he scoffed loudly and said, "I don't know this woman. Maybe she's a beggar." His friends laughed cruelly, mocking her appearance. The mother's smile faded. Tears welled in her eyes as she realized the son she had sacrificed everything for was now ashamed of her. Without another word, she turned away, her heart shattered. That night, she sat alone by the roadside, cold and broken, with only memories of the boy she once held close, now lost in a world of pride and riches. The collapse came faster than he ever imagined. Within a few short months, his business suffered massive losses. Trusted partners turned their backs, deals fell through, and debts piled up. Desperate and humiliated, he reached out to his wealthy friends, the same ones he had laughed with during his days of glory, but none of them came to help. Alone and broken, he wandered the streets where once he had driven luxury cars. His fine clothes were now wrinkled and stained, and his face was hollow with regret. One evening, while sitting hopelessly on a sidewalk, a familiar figure approached him, his mother. Though her body was weak and aged, her eyes still shone with the same endless love. Without a word, she sat beside him, pulling out a small worn pouch. It contained all the money she had quietly saved through years of small cleaning jobs and street work after he had left. She handed it to him with trembling hands and placed a simple homemade meal before him. Tears streamed down his face as he realized the depth of her love that had survived his cruelty and neglect. Falling to his knees, he wept openly and begged for her forgiveness. She embraced him without hesitation, her heart filled with relief. From that day forward, he vowed to change. He worked hard to rebuild his life, but this time with honesty and humility. He dedicated himself to helping the poor, remembering the days he once looked down upon them. Wherever he went, he took his mother with him, introducing her proudly as the woman who had given him everything, even when he had given her nothing.